What if I told you that the sleek, powerful device in your pocket is the culmination of a 160-year-old dream? A dream that began not with silicon, but with brass, wire, and the simple rhythmic click of a telegraph key. This is the story of how we went from sending dots and dashes across a continent to holding the entire world in the palm of our hands. It's a journey spanning over a century and a half, a technological fast-forward from 1865 to today. Our story begins in the aftermath of the American Civil War. The world was vast, and communication was bound by the speed of a horse or a steam train. But a new technology was stitching the world together: the telegraph. With Samuel Morse's code of dots and dashes, humanity could for the first time send a message across thousands of miles almost instantaneously. It was a revolution in information, shrinking the planet and laying the very first wire for the global network we know today. Every tap of the key was a promise of a more connected future, a foundational pulse in the long heartbeat of technological progress. But dots and dashes could never replace the nuance and emotion of the human voice. Just over a decade later, another breakthrough shattered the silence. In 1876, Alexander Graham Bell's famous call to his assistant, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you," heralded the birth of the telephone. Suddenly, the abstract code of the telegraph was replaced by the warmth and immediacy of conversation. Cities were soon draped in a web of copper wires, and the switchboard became the nerve center of this new vocal network, connecting homes, businesses, and hearts in real time. The dream of talking to someone far away was no longer a fantasy. It was a reality you could hold in your hand. The next great leap was to cut the cord entirely. The early 20th century was the age of radio, a technology that proved we didn't need physical wires to communicate. Pioneers like Guglielmo Marconi demonstrated the power of wireless telegraphy, sending signals across the Atlantic. This evolved into radio telephony, allowing voice to travel through the airwaves. From ships at sea reporting their position to military commanders coordinating troops on the battlefield, wireless communication became a vital strategic tool. It was a messy, static-filled, and often unreliable technology, but it planted a crucial seed: the idea that one day, communication could be truly mobile, untethered from any fixed point. That seed began to sprout in the post-war era. The first mobile phones weren't for your pocket, they were for your car. Weighing over 80 pounds, these devices were expensive, cumbersome, and required a powerful vehicle battery just to operate. But the concept of a personal phone on the go had taken hold. The real breakthrough came in 1983. Motorola engineer Martin Cooper stood on a New York City street and made the first ever public call from a handheld cellular phone, the Dynatac 8000X. It was a brick. It weighed 2 pounds, offered just 30 minutes of talk time, and cost the equivalent of over $11,000 today. But it was a symbol. For the first time, you could walk and talk freely. The 1G analog era had begun, and the race to shrink the phone and put it in every hand was on. But this isn't just a story about technology, it's a story about titans clashing, empires rising and falling, and the relentless battle for your pocket. As we entered the late 90s, one name dominated this battle: Nokia. The Finnish company didn't just sell phones, it built legends. Devices like the 3310 became cultural icons, renowned for their near-indestructible build quality, week-long battery life, and the addictive simplicity of the game Snake. Nokia connected the world, from the bustling streets of Tokyo to remote villages in Africa. Their Symbian operating system was smart, efficient, and years ahead of its time, making Nokia the undisputed king of the mobile world. They built an empire on reliability and accessibility, becoming a household name across the globe. It seemed their reign would be eternal. But in 2007, a challenger emerged from an unexpected corner. Apple, the company that had revolutionized personal computing and music, turned its attention to the phone. On a stage in San Francisco, Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone. It wasn't just a new phone, it was a new paradigm. It did away with the physical keyboard, introducing a revolutionary multi-touch interface that felt like magic. It put a full desktop-class web browser in your pocket, and most importantly, it introduced the App Store, a gateway to a universe of software that could transform the device into anything you could imagine. Apple didn't just enter the race, it completely rewired our expectations of what a phone could be, introducing a new language of touch, apps and seamless design that forever changed the game. Nokia's kingdom began to crumble. As Nokia faltered, another giant rose to challenge Apple's new dominance. We'll witness the meteoric rise of Samsung. The South Korean conglomerate was already a manufacturing powerhouse, but it saw an opportunity in Google's new open-source operating system, Android. While Apple offered one phone, a premium device for a premium price, Samsung unleashed a flood. It harnessed the power of Android to offer a phone for every person and every price point. They became masters of scale and speed, pioneering technologies like vibrant AMOLED displays and creating new categories with the large-screen Galaxy Note and its S Pen stylus. Samsung's strategy was relentless iteration and overwhelming choice, flooding the market with innovation and establishing itself as the world's largest smartphone manufacturer. With the hardware largely standardized around the black slab form factor, the battleground shifted. From 2015 onwards, the war was fought with photons and silicon. The smartphone camera became the single most important feature, and companies poured billions into a new field, computational photography. It was no longer just about the lens and sensor, it was about the software. AI-powered algorithms began to analyze and enhance every photo you took, creating stunning night shots, professional-looking portraits, and impossibly clear zoom. This was all powered by an arms race in custom-designed chips. Apple's A series and Samsung's Exynos processors delivered desktop-class performance, with dedicated neural engines making our phones smarter, faster, and more capable than ever before. By the end of the decade, the next frontiers were coming into focus. The rollout of 5G promised a quantum leap in network speed, enabling everything from cloud gaming on the go to a new ecosystem of connected devices. At the same time, manufacturers began to question the very form of the phone itself. After years of prototypes, foldable phones finally hit the market, offering the promise of a tablet-sized screen that could fold to fit in your pocket. The business model was also evolving. Hardware profits were no longer enough. Companies like Apple and Samsung began to focus heavily on services, app stores, streaming music and TV, cloud storage and payment systems, creating sticky ecosystems that locked users in and generated recurring revenue, which brings us to today, and a glimpse of tomorrow. The next revolution is already here, artificial intelligence, but instead of living in the cloud, AI is moving directly onto our devices. On-device processing allows for faster, more private and more personal AI assistants that can summarize your emails, edit your photos, and anticipate your needs. Connectivity is also reaching its final frontier, with satellite communication allowing for emergency messaging from even the most remote corners of the planet. And as these devices become more central to our lives than ever, new questions are emerging around sustainability, the right to repair, and the true cost of our constant connection. From a simple click to a universe of apps, the journey of the phone is the story of human ingenuity and our innate desire to connect. This is the definitive story of the phone wars. Nokia versus Samsung versus Apple. The strategies, the gambles, and the killer features that define generations and shape the digital world we live in today. We've traced the timeline from a wired past to a wireless future, witnessing the birth, death, and rebirth of technological empires. The device in your pocket is more than just a tool, it's a monument to over 160 years of innovation. It is, without a doubt, the most important device in human history. If you enjoyed this journey through time, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on our next deep dive into the technologies that shape our world.